Hi, everyone. Today, we have a Dana from Elite Performance Associate in our podcast. He's been in this industry in this industry for a long time. So let's hear from what he has to say about this industry. So welcome, Dana. Tell me about yourself and what does your company do?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the time and opportunity. My name is Dana. I'm the COO of Elite Performance Associates. My business partner, Dave Richards, and I started this up. Oh gosh, I think we're up on 6 years now, but I've been in the coaching consulting industry for about 15. We are a small boutique consulting firm. We deal with small to mid-sized businesses, generally between 11 and 500 employees across all industries. And we run the gambit of how we help with them. Generally, a company will come to us when they have a specific pain point, and that can be on the operations side, the financials, the personnel, succession planning, sale, it all. And so once we become involved with them, we don't have a broad client base, but we do go deep, and we have clients that we stick with for long periods of time. I think our longest standing client has been with us for 12 years now. And we've got quite a few clients in that 3 to 5 year range. So yeah, that's it. That's how we started.
Nice.
So,
I didn't know that David is your friend. I think he's the CEO of that Elite Performance Associate, right?
yep.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
to hear that. And so, I just always put this in a simple perspective for our audience to understand. If anybody from any business industry, you accept that as a client and you help them, for example, a particular person's operation is not working. So you help them identify what exactly the gaps are in their operations, and you jump into their organization and find out what exactly they can do to improve it. Is this a right understanding? What does the elite do?
Yep. That's absolutely one of the things that we touch on. Many times, especially dealing with small to mid-size, so they're not well established in their systems and processes. They tend to have built them on the fly as they're growing their own businesses. And so what we do is come in, help them identify what their primary goals are, the strategies that they've implemented, and see if their operations are tied or in alignment with them, and where there are gaps or challenges. We start to bring that alignment together, get their measurables right, get a tracking system in place so that we can see and see the real-time data and adjust based off of the feedback that we're getting. It's again, that's one of the many facets that we leverage going into an organization. We also find that a big pain point for small to mid-sized businesses are personnel and the ability to identify and hire well, maintain and retain their employees, and grow leadership and succession throughout the hierarchy of their businesses. So we spend a lot of time working with them in that area as well.
Okay, that's nice elaboration of your company's profile. And let's talk about your background, right? So now, how you ended up as an executive coach in the industry and how it's going right now.
Yeah, it's a great question to ask and an interesting story. So I about 7 years in. So I owned Jack in the Box for 20 years. And I've owned Scooter's coffee franchise for going on 7. What I found about 6 years into my ownership of Jack in the Box is that I love the food service and hospitality. I love engaging with customers, but what I really enjoyed was developing my own staff in preparation for what are they going to do next in their careers. And so I spent a lot of time walking alongside of them. And in that time, another business owner in the area, he was in the geotech field. So they did work across the globe in mining, transportation, water conveyance. He was looking to grow and then sell his company. And so he asked if I would come in and consult with he and his organization in preparation of setting their company up for sale. So I initially said, no, I want to run my own business. And he convinced me to work with him. And so I jumped in consulting with him, and we had a 5-year plan to sell his business. And we ended up selling it in just a little over 2 years. And that really got this taste of, I love developing my personnel, but I also loved helping other business owners achieve their goals. And so once that contract ended, it was probably, I had a day in between the next phone call from another business owner saying, hey, can you help me out? And then it's been ever since. For the last 15 years, we're just continuing to grow our base that way. And my business partner had a very similar experience. I didn't know him at the time, but he was traveling in a very similar alignment. And when he and I met, we started talking. We realized that we had very similar principles and beliefs in how we pour into others and grow with other people's business. So we just hit it off and decided to bring our businesses together and continue growing. And we've been doing that ever since. So
Nice. That's a very fascinating journey, Dana. So let's talk about the industry right now. So if you've been in this, like you have been in you have wore like different hats in the past, right? So now in this particular industry of consultants, what do you have seen and changed significantly in the last couple of years? Like what exactly the change that has been impacting this industry? And what is the one thing that business people, the business leaders in this industry are like limiting? They do not recognize this change. And what do you think this change is?
yeah, great questions. To me, the answer is twofold. One, the greatest challenges that are when I'm going to organizations now that we're facing is how to effectively identify personnel for their organization, because there's so much use of AI on
Yeah.
both the candidate and the review side. So we try to automate this idea of, I'm gonna make my resume and have it run through AI and generate this thing.
Yeah.
It's perfect and it's beautiful, and I ship it off to a potential candidate. And then my employer, or then the company I work with, the potential employer, they use AI to review the resumes and do these evaluations. And so there's this, I make it up on one side and then I filter it autonomously on this side, and we miss the humanity of it. And
Oh, yeah.
so I think where a lot of my clients are struggling is, how do we really find a person, an individual human that I'm hiring for that's going to be a great fit within the organization and align with what I want to go out and accomplish. And in the automated systems, I haven't found them to eliminate the human component yet. Whether that'll be the case in the future, I don't know. But in this moment, I think we race past the time and intentionality that is required to really do a good job of identifying and hiring people well. On the exact other side of it is, AI is overwhelming. Every organization I go into is struggling to feel that they are capable of knowing, of really reviewing and analyzing what the markets are doing, and then how to make good choices based off of what they're evaluating. Because every day there's a new pop-up of do this. And the major LLM players are always throwing out new versions and modeling, and then the tertiary and support companies are building all these tools, and I mean, there's thousands being popped up every day. And so a lot of my clients just come to me and say, what am I supposed to do with all this? And how I know I want to, because I know that there's things that I can optimize and really grow my business with, but what's the best leverage of my time and resources? How do I make a good decision? And so those two tensions, really remembering that there's a human component to every business, and then how do we take the rapidly growing and evolving AI field and best leverage that to an organization that's sustainable and repeatable and doesn't take us away from our core competencies, because we get stuck with these new shiny things that really draw us away. And at the end of the day, if you're making a widget or selling a service, focus on doing that and doing that out well. And we'll figure out the rest as we're growing. So
definitely, Dana, you mentioned two very important aspects here, like the human touch and the leveraging the AI in the right component. Let's talk about the software platform. I think EPA Connect. Do you guys have that one? What exactly does it do?
Yeah, it's a CRM that we provide. We don't market it broadly.
Okay.
Really, and the reason is we work intimately with our clients, and the heart is that we go deep with them. And generally, when we're brought in, the door opens because of a consulting purpose. We go in to solve a very specific problem and provide a deliverable. But we find that it often, or almost always, expands into a coaching role where that's where our executive coaching comes in. And EPA Connect is a CRM and form of automation, and it's a tool that we have to grow our clients and fulfill their needs, where it may not be they may not be large enough, or they may not have the staffing resources to really support and grow it. And so we walk alongside them through the usage of EPA Connect to make it a tool that's leveraged well. And it's not for every one of our clients. It fits a specific need and a specific niche for them. But we are very critical of how it's deployed and why it's deployed. And if it's not a good fit, then we don't leverage that as a tool.
Makes sense completely.
So,
And now I want to ask one thing. As if your fellow business owner is listening to this podcast, so what's the one thing that most business owners need to hear that almost no one is willing to say? what that would be?
Yeah, that a great question. What I find over and over again is we get stuck in the what and how we're doing, and we
Mhm.
forget about the people that are participatory in it. I say this, I don't care what widget we make, what service we provide, or what we do at the end of the day. We're in the people business.
Yeah.
Even in this hyper growth stage in AI, we're still in the people business. And it's based off of relationship. And relationship takes conversation and work. And so many times what I see is from the executive team down, every layer is worried about the task, the service, or the product that they're developing. And we forget the amount of time that relationship actually takes. And we need to be purposeful and intentional with it. So if you're already doing 50 to 60 hours of doing the job, you're too focused on the task and not focused enough on the people. You need to leverage and create space in significance. And I'm talking 10, 20, 30 hours of deep, intimate relationship with you and your team to make sure that things are aligned, that things are delegated well, that they're held accountable, and that we provide growth and development and encouragement and empowerment for our teams. It doesn't happen by me telling you once or twice or even 5 or 10 times. It happens over and over and over again. Susan Scott, she wrote a book called Fierce Conversation. And she said, the relationship is the conversation. And if you don't have the conversation, you don't have the relationship.
That's a very beautiful quote. And the relationship with your team in any business is a key to the business, right? So you definitely mentioned a very good thing. Moving to the next question. So this could be the tricky one. So what's the one thing that would be working very well in your organizations? And what is the one thing that creating a friction in your business, or you would like to improve that one? What that two things would be?
Yeah, the thing that's working well is just I think because my business partner and the consultants that we have working with us, we are very focused on how we can serve and support our clients. And that is our genuine hope, even to our detriment, is that we come in and we operate in another person's business as if it is our own. And so we go deep and we are there consistently and powerfully. And that is why we're able to retain our clients so well. So that is really one of the things that works extraordinarily well for us, the genuineness in which we approach our work. But that's also the friction that we face. That is very difficult to replicate to the level of quality that we feel comfortable holding or putting our name to. So we're very conservative in the coaches that we bring on staff, and we're very conservative in how we distribute our knowledge base to people beyond our clientele. I think we have a lot of systems and methodologies that are really, really valuable, but we want to make sure it's valuable to the clients first and foremost. And it's good and bad. So it's both the strength.
You know what exactly your client needs, and that's only you want to solve, right? You want to get to their pain points. And this is how I exactly operate my business. If I'm not able to recognize what exactly they are trying to solve, I'm not able to help them. And that's the essence of our consulting business. So if we don't know what exactly they're trying to solve, we are not able to help you. We're not able to solve that. So coming on to the next one, so let's talk about another friction that you might be seeing in your business.
Yeah. I think, a little bit of challenge with it goes back to technology and how does it get leveraged? One thing with coaching and consulting is you want to have some lead generation going. And so it's how do you get your name and offering out in front of others well? And so this is kind of a universal standard of challenge across the industry because there's such a low barrier of entry to go in and say, hey, I can coach and consult. So the market is saturated with faces and names. And so how do you start to differentiate yourself well within that? Fortunately, I've been doing this for almost 15 years, and I've worked exclusively off of referrals. My business partner as well. Some of the coaches that we bring on board, though, as they're new to the model and the market, they're not as well networked, and so. Our next point is how do we build a system that shows the integrity that we want to express in an already saturated market? So how do we not follow the same trends of hyper sensationalism or over promising and under performing? We want to reach the right people at the right time and give them our very best. And so really being heard and seen through the just the oversaturated market. I think that's a valid and true friction point for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Then I echo with that. So where do you see your like elite associate going in from now to 6 to 12 months in the future? Where do you see your company?
Yeah. We're in a potential for a pretty good growth phase right now. My business partner comes from the financial and real estate and lending industry. So he spent 25 years in that industry, and we've had some great inroads that are really gaining footholds. So about 60% of our business is in real estate and lending right now. And we are focused on continuing to provide support in that industry. So growing, and in doing that, we need to bring on more coaches and consultants. So that's right now what we're doing is actively recruiting for that, looking for people that will be a good fit for our culture and our, the skill set that we're looking for. And on the other side of it is that I've written a book that I'm going to be releasing in a couple months. So the other side is the systems that I'm releasing that book is how do I support people that pick that up and really create an environment where there's value for the readers and for the people that I'm trying to share information with. So those are the two primary lifts that we've got this year. Really excited about it. And it's going to be good. It's
fingers crossed. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
If you have a vision in mind, we will get to that. We will get to that. And would you like to mention the book that you're writing?
Yeah.
The name would be fine. What exactly is this? Just a brief would be fine.
Sure. It's called Now Hiring, and I go through the systems of how to retain your staff, grow your culture, and build teams that stay. Give the front end on the hiring process, and then a really simple model on how to evaluate your current team to build those relationships that I was talking about previously. So,
Now Hiring.
so it'll be released on August 6th.
August 6th. Nice. Yeah. It's been like 40 days now left. No, around 36 days.
Yeah. Scare me. Yeah. It's right around the corner.
Good name though. Good name. Now Hiring is very catchy name for the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited. It's been a lot of fun and excited to get it out there. I think that it can really be helpful. There's some good stuff in there.
Okay. That was a very like a fruitful conversation with you, Dana. And thank you for being on the podcast. You shared very different perspective from my previous guests. So I appreciate that. And thank you for being on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.